Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Before we get into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications because this is reading Dork, Diaries, Tales from a Not So Fabulous Life, Book 1, Part 3 of 3. This is the final reading of the first book. This is the third part in the 3-part series. If you're going to enjoy, subscribe, like, and turn on post notifications. The Part 3 will be a little longer than Parts 2 and 1, I assume. So I kept parts 2 and 1 under an hour, but part 3 of 3 will probably be over an hour. Just saying. I don't know, but let's get into this. The telephone rang, and the lady gasped and rushed off, leaving us standing there. Brianna smiled and darted up the huge staircase ahead of me. As she entered the first bedroom on the right, she squealed with glee. Ooh, pretty! It was decorated in shades of pink and had a huge plush rug. It was decorated in shades of pink and had a huge plush rug soft enough to sleep on. The laptop and big screen TV were to die for. My entire bedroom could fit into the walk-in closet. But personally, it was a little too sugar and spice for my taste. Not that I was jealous or anything. How juvenile would that be? Me and Brianna in total awe of the fabulous bedroom. Hey, can I jump up and down on this princessy bed? Brianna asked. No, I snapped. Get down. It took all my willpower not to snoop. I wondered what school the girl attended and if we could ever be friends. I bet she had a perfect life, unlike me. Brianna skipped into the adjoining bathroom and locked the door behind her. Wow, I'm going to get a bathroom like this for my birthday. Soon I heard the toilet flush, but after 3 minutes she still had not come out. Brianna, hurry up, I shouted through the door. Wait, I'm still washing my hands really good with this strawberry soap, and then I'm going to put on some yummy-smelling cupcake body spray. Come on, we have to go back to the van now. Wait, I'm almost done. Suddenly I heard a sickeningly familiar voice. But Mom, I can't have my party with these horrible bugs crawling all over. We should have had it at the country club like I wanted. This is totally your fault. I almost wet my pants. It was Mackenzie Hollister. I was like, OMG, OMG, OMG. Today was the party I had not been invited to. It was like a demented nightmare. I was trapped in Mackenzie's bedroom, my sister was locked in Mackenzie's bathroom, and my dad was exterminating Mackenzie's house. And if all that wasn't awful enough, our van, with a humongous roach on top of it, was parked in Mackenzie's driveway with my last name plastered across the side of it. The van, not the roach. I wanted to dig a deep hole in the lush pink room, crawl into it, and die. I pounded on the door. Bam, bam. Brianna, come on, open up. Me having a meltdown. I'm busy. Go away, Brianna yelled. You've been in there long enough. Now open the door. Say pretty please. Pretty please. Now say pretty please with sugar on top. Okay, open the door. Pretty please with sugar on top, I begged. No, I'm not done yet, Brianna answered. Mom, this party is going to be a disaster. Well, my reputation will be ruined. We have to cancel it. I could hear Mackenzie's shrieks getting louder. She was coming up the stairs. Brianna, open the door quick. Please, it's an emergency, I hissed. It's an emergency, I hissed through the door. Bam, bam. Brianna, come on, open up. Me having a meltdown. Wait, I'm putting on the yummy smelling cupcake body spray now. What's the emergency? Now Mackenzie was in the hallway. Mom, I'm calling Jessica. She would never believe this is happening to me. I had exactly 3 seconds to convince Brianna to open the bathroom door. Brianna, it's the Tooth Fairy. She's coming and we have to get out of here. Now. The lock on the door clicked and Brianna whipped open the door. She looked even more frightened than she had been at the Princess Sugar Plum movie. Did you just say Tooth Fairy? Yes, come on, let's hide, quick. Brianna was panicking and starting to whine. Where is she? I'm scared. I want Daddy. Let's hide behind the shower curtain. If we're really quiet, she'll never find us. Brianna shut up instantly, but her eyes were as big as saucers. I actually felt a little sorry for her. I flipped off the bathroom light. Then we dove into the bathtub and huddled behind the shower curtain. Brianna and me hiding out in the bathroom. I could hear Mackenzie stomping around her bedroom and screaming into her cell phone. Jess, there's no way I can have this party now. Our house is crawling with bugs. What? How am I supposed to know what they are? They're these big black roaches or something. Some guys here spraying, but now the house stinks. It stinks, Jess. How can I have a party with the house stinking? Nikki, I'm scared. I want my daddy now. I begged Mom to let me have my party at the country club. Sophia's mom let her have her party at the country club, but no! Getting my mom to do anything these days is like pulling teeth. Why did Mackenzie have to say the T word? Brianna totally lost it and started climbing out of the bathtub. Oh no, did you hear that? She says she's going to pull out my teeth. I want to go home. Brianna and me hiding out in the bathroom. Brianna, wait. I tackled her and held her in a headlock. Finally, she stopped squirming and went limp. Then the little brat bit me, hard. I let go of her and yelped in pain like a wounded animal. Yow! But I did it inside my head, so no one else heard it but me. Brianna scrambled out of the tub, opened the bathroom door, and disappeared into Mackenzie's bedroom. I froze and held my breath. I could not believe this was happening to me. Then I thought, maybe this is just a nightmare, like those scary weird dreams I was having earlier in the week about Chloe and Zoe. If I could just wake up, this would all go away. So I closed my eyes, pinched myself really hard, and tried to wake up. But when I opened my eyes, I was still standing in Mackenzie's bathtub with Brianna's now black and blue teeth marks on my arm next to a throbbing red pinch mark. I so wished I was dead. Suddenly another idea popped into my head. If I turned on Mackenzie's shower and stood under freezing cold water for an hour, I might die of pneumonia. But even that could take a few days, and I needed to be dead right now. OMG, Jess, there's a little kid in my room. How would I know? She appeared out of nowhere. I've told Amanda a million times my room is off limits to her and her bratty little friends. Hold on. Mom, Amanda and her friends are playing in my room again. Would you please do something? Okay, Jess, I'm back. If they so much as touch my makeup again, I swear I'm going to strangle. Don't you dare touch me, you wicked tooth fairy, Brianna screamed at the top of her lungs. Suddenly I felt really lightheaded. I was sure I was about to faint. Hold on a minute, Jess. Who told you I was a tooth fairy? What did you do in my bedroom? And where is Amanda? You can't have my tooths. Never, Brianna shouted bravely. Mom, Amanda... Hold on, Jess. I have to get rid of this little kid. Then I'm going to kill Amanda. Okay, you. Out of my room right this. Stop! Let go of me. I love my tooths. There was a loud thump, and Mackenzie shrieked. Ow, you little... Brianna battling the wicked tooth fairy. Mom, I've just been attacked by a demonic munchkin. OMG, I think I'm bruised. Ow, you little... Brianna battling the wicked tooth fairy. I can't wear my new designer flip-flops with a big bruise on my leg. Are you still there, Jess? I can't have my party like this. I've got a bruise the size of a pancake. No, I didn't get bruised by a pancake. I said, hold on. I could hear Mackenzie hobbling down the stairs like a one-legged pirate. Clink, clunk, clink, clunk, clink, clunk. Mom, last week Amanda and her friends put gum in my hair and colored with my lipsticks. Now one of them just... When it sounded like Mackenzie's screeches were coming from a safe distance away, I jumped out of the bathtub, grabbed Brianna, and tossed her over my shoulder like a sack of rotten potatoes. Without stopping even once, I hauled her down the stairs, through the hall, to the foyer, and out the front door. I deposited her butt in the backseat of the van and slammed the door. My dad was in the back, loading up his equipment. Oh, there you girls are. Perfect timing. I'm all done. As Dad started the van and pulled out, I stared at the house, half expecting Mackenzie to come limping out the front door, ranting that Brianna be arrested for creating a bruise that prevented her from wearing her new designer flip-flops at her birthday party. Amazingly, Brianna sat calmly in the backseat and seemed quite pleased with herself. Daddy, guess what? I went to use the bathroom, and after I washed my hands with strawberry soap and put on cupcake body spray, I saw the tooth fairy with Rose in her hair talking on a fairy phone, and she said she was going to strangle me and pull out all of my teeth to make dentures for old people. So when she grabbed me, I kicked her and she let go and started screaming for her mommy. Then she flew back to fairyland to go to a stinky party. She's not very nice, that's for sure. I like Santa and the Easter Bunny much better. Lucky for us, Dad was only half listening to Brianna's rambling. Really, Pumpkin? So is that what your Princess Sugar Plum movie was about? At the next stoplight, I noticed a carload of teen boys pointing and laughing. I put my plastic bag back over my head and slouched down in the seat. I was so mad I could spit. All of this drama for a measly $10. 10-10-S. Sunday, September 29th. Sunday, September 29th. I'm starting to get really excited because the Avant-Garde art competition is only 8 days away. I decided to enter my watercolor painting that took me 2 whole summers at art camp to complete. I spent more than 130 hours on it. The only complication is that I gave it to my mom and dad last spring for their 16th wedding anniversary, so it's technically not mine anymore. It was either my painting or spending my entire life savings of $109.21 to buy them dinner at a fancy restaurant. But I knew the dinner was going to be a total ripoff because I watched the Food Network. 10-10-S. All of those 5-star restaurants serve really gross stuff like frog legs and snails, and then give you a tiny portion on a really big plate with chocolate syrup drizzled over it and a garnish. And garnish is just a fancy name for a plain old piece of parsley. So, to save money, Brianna and I decided to cook a romantic candlelit dinner for Mom and Dad as an anniversary surprise. We took a big bucket and a net to the pond at the park and hunted down some fresh frog legs and snails. It was my brilliant idea to make it an all-you-can-eat buffet, since we were basically getting the food for free. Me playing with my food, love at first sight, runaway snail, chocolate syrup, fresh snails, fresh frog legs, parsley. Chef Nikki and her assistant prepare a tasty gourmet dinner of frog legs and snails. Trying to prepare a gourmet dinner was definitely a lot harder than I thought it would be. The frogs kept jumping out of the bowl, and the snails wouldn't stay on the plate. Unfortunately, none of those shows on the Food Network explain how to control all the critters while you're trying to cook them. And Brianna was no help whatsoever. She was supposed to be my assistant, but she kept swiping the frogs and kissing them to see if they turned into princes. I scolded her really good about that because she had no idea where those frogs' lips had been. Not surprisingly, Brianna threw a big hissy fit when it came time to put the food in the oven. She said they were her friends, and friends don't cook friends. I had to admit she did have a good point, so we decided to take Mom and Dad's anniversary dinner back to the pond and let them go. I guess you could say they were really lucky. They, meaning the frogs and snails, not Mom and Dad. Since our dinner plans fell through, and I didn't want to part with my life savings, I stuck a big red Christmas bow on my watercolor painting and used that as a gift instead. Mom and Dad must have really loved it because they paid a ton of money to have it professionally made and put into an expensive antique frame. Then they hung it in our living room, right over the couch. Even though it's now a priceless family heirloom with tremendous sentimental value, Mom said I could borrow it for the avant-garde art competition as long as I took really good care of it. I was like, Mom, don't worry, I'll be super careful with your painting, I promise. Because honestly, like what could happen? Monday, September 30th. I couldn't believe that Mackenzie actually came to school on crutches today. She even stuck little heart stickers on them so that they matched her new designer purse. Only someone as vain as Mackenzie would try to look cute while hobbling around on crutches. She didn't have a cast on her leg or anything, just a Hello Kitty Band-Aid below her left knee. How fake is that? According to the latest gossip, Mackenzie was taking scuba diving lessons on Saturday from this really cute 9th grader when she ruptured her shin while saving him from drowning. She supposedly did mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on him until the ambulance arrived. And since the poor guy's dying wish was for her to escort him to the hospital, she was forced to cancel her birthday party. So she rescheduled it for Saturday, October 12th, at her parents' country club. I was like, yeah, right. Mackenzie's such a liar and a drama queen. Why couldn't she just tell the truth and admit her party was canceled because her house was infested with bugs and stank from bug spray? Anyway, today I could hardly wait for lunch. Chloe and Zoe were even more excited than I was. We sat at our usual table and scarfed down our lunch as fast as we could. Then I rolled up Zoe's sleeve, took out my lucky pen, and got started on her tattoo. She kept giggling and squirming and complaining that it tickled, so I said, "Listen, Zoe, shut up and sit still, or I'm going to turn any stray ink marks into ugly baby snakes." Lucky for her, she stopped moving after that. On us. Practically everyone in the cafeteria was staring at us, but I ignored them and kept right on working. Zoe's tattoo turned out really cool, and she loved it. Reading, an extreme sport. I was just getting started on Chloe's tattoo, and the weirdest thing happened. Jason Feldman got up, left the CCP table, and sat down at our table to watch. He's just the most popular guy in the entire school and president of student council. On the cuteness scale, I would say he has a 99. On the cuteness scale, I would say he has a 9.93 out of 10. You're doing a tattoo with a pen? Cool, it looks so real. I should know because my brother just got one for his 18th birthday. It's a special LSA project for National Library Week, Chloe explained, and batted her eyelashes at him all flirty like. Yeah, and all the latest fashion magazines say tattoos are hot, Zoe added, and plastered a big fat cheesy smile on her face. Those two were acting so phony baloney, it was sickening. I thought I was going to puke up my lunch right in Jason's lap. So what do I have to do to get one? Jason asked excitedly. Donate a book or something? Do you have a sign-up sheet? Chloe's and Zoe's faces lit up at the same time, and I could see the light bulbs click on in their brains. I just sighed and rolled my eyes. First it was the tattoo thing, then ballet and the zombies, and then running away to live in the secret underground tunnels of the NYC Public Library. I didn't know if I could put up with much more of this drama. Chloe fluttered her eyelashes at Jason again. Well, Nikki is art director. I'm overseeing book procurement. And Chloe fluttered her eyelashes at Jason again. Well, Nikki is art director. I'm overseeing book procurement. And Zoe here handles scheduling. Zoe, would you please give Jason our sign-up sheet? What sign-up sheet? Zoe asked, looking confused. Chloe winked at her and said really loudly, "You know, the sign-up sheet in your notebook, silly." Finally, Zoe caught on. "Oh, that sign-up sheet, of course." She gazed at Jason and giggled nervously. Zoe whipped out her notebook, tore out a sheet of paper, scribbled tattoo sign-up sheet across the top, and handed it to Chloe. Chloe added the words "book donation required," newer used, in big bold letters, and gave it to Jason. I was shocked and appalled to see Chloe and Zoe lying like that. I always felt honesty was a very important quality in a friend. Jason wrote his name on the sign-up sheet and then yelled to his lunch table on the other side of the cafeteria. "Hey, Crenshaw, get Thompson and come check this out." Ryan Crenshaw is a 9.86 and Matt Thompson is a 9.98. They both came over and sat down at our table right next to Jason. Then the three of them started laughing and talking to me. Chloe and Zoe like we're CCP girls or something. That's when I decided that although an honest friend is nice and I can hook you up with really cute guys friend is far better. And besides, Chloe and Zoe weren't actually lying. They were just over embellishing with some fabricated truths. Even though I was enjoying all of the unexpected attention, there was an incessant gnawing deep down inside my gut that had me really worried. Why were the three most popular CCP guys suddenly sitting at a lunch table, flirting with Chloe, Zoe, and me, the three biggest dorks in the school? And what exactly did they want from us? Then I had to force myself to ponder the most intriguing and troubling question of all. Was my lucky pen going to melt from all of the CCP guy hotness? Here are the three reasons why I was a little worried about my pen. Jason the prep, Ryan the jock, Matt the bad boy. Within minutes, 7 more guys had crashed our table and were passing around the sign-up sheet and boasting about how wicked their tat was going to be. I finally finished up Chloe's tattoo and she said it was perfect. Reading is magical. Chloe's tattoo. Jason rolled up his sleeve and took Chloe's place. Hey, listen up. Mine is gonna say gamer for life. All of the guys started slapping him on the back and giving him high fives and fist bumps. He was acting all smug, like he was getting a new sports car or something. Then a large crowd of girls gathered around a large crowd of guys to watch me work on Jason's tattoo. Isn't she the new girl? I think her locker is right next to Mackenzie's. She's like the best artist in the entire school. Hey, I want to sign up. Give me the sheet next. What's her name? Mickey, Ricky, or Vicky, I think. Whatever her name is, the girl's got skills. I'm so jealous. I can't draw a stick figure. Reading is magical. Chloe's tattoo. She's in my French class. Her name is Nikki Maxwell. I love to draw on Jason Feldman. He's hot. OMG, I'd give anything to be Nikki Maxwell. My huge crowd of admiring fans. I was starting to feel like a pop star. The only CCPs not at our table were Mackenzie and her little group. They were glaring at us from across the cafeteria. By the end of lunch period, I had completed 7 tattoos, Chloe had collected 9 books, and Zoe had scheduled 11 people to get tattoos tomorrow at lunch. We decided to call our new LSA project Ink Exchange, trade a book for a tattoo. By the end of the day, the entire school was buzzing about us. Mrs. Peach said collecting books for charity was a wonderful idea, and she was really proud of us. Brandon even congratulated me and said he wanted to interview me for the school newspaper on Friday, since I was breaking news. My huge crowd of admiring fans. He said he planned to photograph the students showing off their new tattoos for the article. Now I can hardly wait for Friday to get here. There's a chance we might actually become good friends. But the absolute most mind-blowing thing about all of this is that Chloe, Zoe, and I started the school day as LSA Dorks and ended it as CCP Divas. How cool is that? Tuesday, October 1st. Today, total tattoos, 1724. Books, 3443. This tattoo craze has really caught on at WCD. I did 11 more during lunch, and most of the CCPs sat at our table to watch. Chloe, Zoe, and I thought it was pretty cool hanging out with them, and they were not mean or snotty like we thought they'd be. I guess it was just a matter of getting to know them better. Surprisingly, I ended up doing another 6 tattoos while I was on LSA duty. It seemed like everyone and their mother was getting library passes during 5th hour homeroom and pestering me. But Mrs. P said she didn't mind me not shoving books since I was working on our group project. So far, we've collected a total of 43 books for charity, which is fantastic. But it was mainly because Chloe decided to start charging 2 books for a tattoo instead of 1. Zoe and I thought one book was perfectly fine, and we told her so. But Chloe said that since she was the director of book procurement, it was her decision, not ours. So it didn't matter what we thought. Now, how rude was that? I was like, okay, Chloe, we're supposed to be doing this as a group project. Who died and made you queen? Chloe the Great, queen of books. But I just said it in my head, so no one else heard it but me. So now we're getting 2 books for each tattoo, although it seems a bit greedy if you ask me. Chloe the Great, queen of books. Wednesday, October 2nd. Today, total, tattoos, 1943. Books, 100. I used to daydream about everyone at WCD knowing my name, and today my dream finally came true. More than 24 people said hi to me before I even got to my first hour of class. It made me happy to have so many new friends. In biology, we had to choose a lab partner and look at dust mites under a microscope. I thought for sure that Brandon was going to ask me to work with him, but 3 people interrupted him while he was trying to talk to me. They were all like, hey Nikki, let's work together so we can talk about my new tattoo design. But I didn't want to talk to people I hardly knew about tattoos. I wanted to have a really deep emo convo with Brandon about dust mites. In the end, I got stuck with Alexis Hamilton, the captain of the cheerleaders. The whole time we were working, all she did was blab about how they, the cheerleaders, needed me to come up with a super hot tattoo for their big game against Central, which BTW was on Friday. But I already knew this because I overheard them talking about it in front of my locker this morning. A few of them were waiting around for me after second hour, and they seemed pretty cranky. It wasn't like I was afraid of them or anything. I just jumped inside my locker because I could be a little shy at times. But Nikki was right here a second ago. Where'd she go? WCD, me being hunted down by an angry mob of cheerleaders. Anyway, I told Alexis that everyone had to sign up with Zoe first. But she said Zoe had a waiting list of 149 people through next Wednesday, and she needed the tats right away since it was kind of an emergency. Alexis said she had already donated 3 books for each tattoo to Chloe, and Chloe was authorizing the squad to be placed at the top of the waiting list. So now it was 3 books? I told Alexis that since Zoe was director of scheduling and Chloe is director of book procurement, she could probably just ignore Chloe. Then Alexis got an attitude about the whole thing and refused to talk to me or help write our lab report on dust mites. Talk about a cruddy lab partner. But what really upset me was that Zoe had scheduled 149 people without asking me first. I have a French test on Friday and a geometry test next Monday, and I'm barely pulling a B in each of those classes. How am I supposed to study if I'm staying up past midnight every night designing tasks for all of these people? And I haven't had time to eat lunch for the past 2 days. Then, as I was leaving class, Samantha Gates stopped me to say how much she loved her tat of her favorite boy band. She said all of her friends in the drama club wanted one too. Samantha invited me to hang out with them after school on Friday, and I told her I'd let her know. But how can I have a social life when I have to draw tattoos 24/7? Thursday, October 3rd. Today, total. Tattoos, 33, 76. Books, 99, 199. I had a really cruddy day today. It seemed that all Chloe, Zoe, and everyone cares about is tattoos. I came to school early and did 9. Then I did 14 at lunchtime and another 10 during library. That's 33 tattoos. Then I overheard Zoe tell Chloe behind my back that I walked slower than a constipated snail in an ice storm, and I needed to speed up since she now had 216 people on the waiting list for next week. I was so not doing 216 tattoos in 1 week, and I told Zoe that right to her face. In a really friendly way. Then Chloe wanted to know why I told Alexis to ignore her. She said that since the cheerleaders had a big game, she thought they should be put at the top of the list for tomorrow. That's when Zoe said that, as the director of scheduling, the decision was hers alone, and she didn't care what Chloe thought. That's when Zoe said that, as the director of scheduling, the decision was hers alone, and she didn't care what Chloe thought, which was the exact same thing Chloe had said to us a few days ago. Then Mrs. Peach came over and asked us to please lower our voices because we were, after all, in a library. But I knew better. It wasn't a library. It was supposed to be a library, but it was actually a horrible, wicked tattoo sweatshop. Me. Friday, October 4th. Tattoos today, a big fat 0. Books today, a big fat 0. Why? First of all, Chloe and Zoe were mad because I didn't come to school early, and they had 17 people waiting for tattoos. Well, excuse me, but I had a French test today that I had to study for. Then at lunch, there were 25 people waiting, but instead of sitting at table 9 and helping me, Chloe and Zoe sat at the CCP table on the other side of the cafeteria. I could see them giggling and acting all flirty with Jason, Ryan, and Matt, while I was supposed to be working my butt off like Cinderella or somebody. But I nearly freaked when I saw Mackenzie give Chloe and Zoe invitations to her rescheduled party for next Saturday. They were pink envelopes with a big white satin ribbons. They were pink envelopes with a big white satin ribbons tied around them, just like the ones she had to give to me. And then taken back when she uninvited me. Chloe and Zoe were acting all happy and sucking up to Mackenzie, even though they knew she hated my guts. So I did the most mature and rational thing possible under the circumstances. I quit. If I had to draw one more tattoo, I'm going to vomit. I thought Chloe and Zoe were my real friends, but now I can see that they were just using me all along to earn that trip to NYC for National Library Week. How could they do this to me? Then Brandon came up to my locker all smiling and said he wanted to interview me for the newspaper during library, but I told him to just forget it. But I told him to just forget it because my tattoo career was over. He asked me if I was okay, and I said, yeah, it's all good. I just need to find some new friends. He just blinked and looked kind of confused. Then he shrugged and walked away. So now it's like Chloe, Zoe, and Brandon are all tripping. I hope the three of them have a blast at Mackenzie's little party, since they all got invited and I didn't. But it wasn't like I was jealous of them or anything. I mean, how totally juvenile would that be? Saturday, October 5th. I had the most horrible nightmare. The scariest thing was that it felt so real. It was like everyone was out to get me. My horrible nightmare. I was in my PJs trying to put away a huge stack of library books. Mackenzie was laughing at me and spitting bugs on me. Chloe and Zoe were flying on a huge ink pen, trying to capture me in a net. And a giant camera bug was trying to take my photo for the school newspaper. But all I could hear was the 5th hour bell ringing and ringing. Thank goodness I finally woke up. That's when I realized it was morning and the telephone was ringing, not the 5th hour bell. I dragged myself out of bed and answered the phone on my desk. It was my grandma calling to tell us she was planning to come visit us for 2 weeks at the end of November. My horrible nightmare. I told her my parents must already be out running errands or something since they hadn't answered the phone. Then she asked me how I was doing, and I told her not so good. I said I was thinking about transferring out of my school and asked her what she would do if she were me. She said it was not so much about the school I chose, but whether I chose to be a chicken or a champion, which of course had absolutely nothing to do with anything. Since Grandma was talking out of her head again, I told her that I loved her, but that I had to go because someone was at the door. Then I hung up. I wasn't lying to her because, unfortunately, Brianna and Miss Penelope were at my bedroom door. Miss Penelope wanted me to watch her and Brianna do a medley of songs from Princess Sugar Plum's Greatest Hits album, complete with dance choreography. Okay, that's when my brain almost exploded. I had been away for less than 3 minutes and had already been forced to deal with my senile grandma, my hyperactive sister, and a wacky puppet. I climbed back into bed, pulled the covers up over my head, and screamed for 2 whole minutes. So many freaks and not enough circuses. Monday, October 7th. Please make all this not be really happening to me. Today has been the worst day of my entire life. It all started Sunday night when I was sitting at my desk doing review problems for my geometry test. If I did really well in it, I'd be able to raise my grade up to a solid B. My mom came into my room around midnight to tell me she was leaving the house extra early in the morning to chaperone a field trip for Rihanna's class. Nikki, since you have a test and the art competition tomorrow, it's really important that you set your alarm clock so you don't oversleep in the morning. I was like, thanks, Mom, good night. I really did plan to set my clock as soon as I finished my geometry problems. But the next thing I knew, it was morning, and I was still sitting at my desk with my geometry book open. I just about had a heart attack because, according to my clock, it was 7:36 a.m. on Monday, and my first ever class started at 8 a.m. The only logical explanation was that I must have fallen asleep while studying at my desk. Zzz. Me, sneezing and drooling all over my geometry book. My day was off to a very bad start. I overslept, I didn't have a ride to school, my painting needed to be turned in for the art show, and my geometry test started in less than 23 minutes. Even the weather perfectly matched my miserable mood. It was dark, overcast, and pouring rain. I was fighting back my tears when suddenly I heard the low rumble of our garage door opening. I ran to my bedroom window and spotted the flicker of bright headlights. It was my dad, and he was leaving the house. I rushed around my room in a panic, trying to get dressed before he pulled out. I jumped into my jeans and slid on my jacket. When I couldn't find one of my shoes, I decided to just change it into my PE shoes once I got to school. I grabbed my backpack and my painting and dashed downstairs like a maniac. But by the time I got out the front door, my dad was already pulling into the street. Zzz. Me, snoozing, and drooling all over my geometry book. I ran down a driveway, waving my arms and screaming hysterically. Wait, Dad! I need to ride to school! Maxwell bug extermination. Me chasing after the van. Only I couldn't run very fast because I was loaded down with my backpack and the painting. Of course, my bunny slippers didn't help the situation either. Unfortunately, my dad didn't see me, so I just stood there in the driveway in the pouring rain feeling really, really cruddy. I couldn't believe I was going to miss the art show, receive an F on my geometry test, and get an unexcused absence. All on the same day. I got this large, painful lump in my throat, and I felt like crying again. But my dad must have finally noticed me in his rear view mirror or something, because suddenly he slammed on his brakes. Screech! I took off running down the street toward the van as fast as I could. Sorry guys, that was my dad. As I climbed in, Dad chuckled. Does Sleeping Beauty need a ride to school, or are you waiting for your prince? I ignored his corny little joke and collapsed into the backseat of the van. I was soaking wet, but I felt happy and relieved. All was not lost. Yet, anyway. But I also felt really anxious. For the first time this year, I was riding to school in the Roachmobile. And if anyone saw me getting out of it, I was going to absolutely die. By the time we pulled up to the front of the school, the rain had finally stopped. Thank goodness the only other vehicle around was a small truck with some men in uniform carrying in large flat panels. I guessed that they were the displays for the art show. I thanked Dad for the ride, grabbed my painting, and climbed out of the van. Just as I was about to slam the door shut, he waved and pointed to my backpack on the floor. Hey, I think you're forgetting something. I carefully set my painting on the ground and leaned back against the side of the van. Then I climbed back in and grabbed my backpack. I think I'm all set now. Thanks again, Dad. I waved and I slammed the van door shut. I could not believe that I had actually made it to school in one piece with 6 minutes to spare, and not a single soul had spotted me getting out of the Roachmobile, which was a miracle in and of itself. Then I noticed a girl wearing matching designer raincoat, hat, and boots climbing out of the back of the truck parked in front of us. Hey, careful with that, buddy. It's a piece of art, not a piece of plywood, she snarled to one of the men. I froze and thought about trying to duck back into the van to hide until she left, but it was too late. Mackenzie's mouth dropped open. At first she had a look of shock on her face as she stared at me, my van, and Max. Yes, the roach. Then her lips spread into a really evil grin. Wait a minute, you're the same Maxwell's bug extermination. And what is that hideous brown thing on top of your van? A dead moose? Let me guess. It's supposed to be a matching set with those 2 dead bunnies on your feet. I just glared at her and didn't say a word. Okay, Mackenzie was the undisputed winner if we were competing for richest snob, cutest designer wardrobe, most friends, coolest bedroom, or biggest house. But we weren't. Avant-garde art was all about pure, unadulterated talent, which Mackenzie could not buy with her parents' money. It was her Fab Forever fashion illustrations against my watercolor. That's when I suddenly remembered. OMG, my painting! I spun around and lunged to grab it just as my dad was pulling out, but I was too late. I gasped and watched in horror as the van tire slowly crushed glass, antique wood frame, my hopes and my dreams. No! The van runned over my painting. It was shockingly painful to see the unique expression of me that had taken more than 130 hours to capture in watercolor, so brutally destroyed in a matter of seconds. But the torn, twisted, and splintered mess on the side of the curb was not nearly as ugly as Mackenzie's final insult. Oh no, is that your little art project? Too bad. Hey, just throw some bugs on it and enter it as a modern art piece called Maxwell's Bugs on Garbage. Then she cackled like a witch and sashayed off. I just hate it when Mackenzie sachets. I watched sadly as the Roachmobile turned the corner and disappeared down the road. For the first time in my life, I wished I were inside it, warm and dry and speeding away from Mackenzie. The van runs over my painting. No! Away from my friends who were really not my friends. Away from Westchester Country Day Middle School. I didn't fit in at this place, and I was sick and tired of trying. I sat down on the side of the curb next to the pieces of my painting and cried. The rain started to pour again, but I didn't care. I had been sitting there like forever, trying to sort things out inside my head, and when I noticed it had stopped raining, on me anyway. Then I recognized that faint aroma of Snuggle fabric softener, Axe body spray, and red licorice. I looked up and was surprised and slightly embarrassed to see Brandon standing there holding an umbrella over me. Brandon and me in the rain. Are you okay? I didn't answer. Then he extended his hand. I just looked at it and sighed. If I sat out on the curb in the rain much longer, I'd probably catch a really bad cold and end up missing several days of school, which under the circumstances didn't sound like such a bad thing. I grabbed a hold of Brandon's hand, and he slowly pulled me off the wet curb. I could not believe we were doing this stupid little scene all over again. How pathetic. I rolled my eyes, sniffed, and wiped my runny nose on the back of my hand. I was not going to let him see me cry. Both of us just stood there, not saying anything. He was staring at me, and I was staring at the ground. Suddenly, Brandon dug deep into his pocket and fished out a wrinkled-looking piece of tissue. I think you have something on your face. Probably snot, I muttered sarcastically, and snatched the tissue from his hand. Yeah, probably, he said, trying hard not to smile. Like, I dig those shoes. They're not shoes. They're bunny slippers. I was in a really big hurry this morning, okay? I blew my nose at him loudly and angrily. Honk! So, it looks like you had a little accident with your art project. I wouldn't call it little. Well, if it will make you feel any better, Mackenzie is entering some life-size paper dolls. I'd say your painting is still better than hers, even in 27 pieces with mud smeared on it and a few worms. A mischievous grin slowly spread across Brandon's face. Come on, everyone knows you have more talent than your smallest burp than... Yeah, I know, I said, interrupting him and blushing uncontrollably. I hate it when he does that to me. Okay, even though I was mad at the world, I had to admit the whole thing was a little funny, in a really bent sort of way. Finally, I smiled at Brandon and he winked to me. He is such a dork, but in a good way. He has a slightly weird sense of humor and is friendly and a little shy all at the same time. And unlike me, he doesn't obsess about what other people think about him. I think that is probably the coolest thing about him. Thanks for the umbrella. Hey, no prob. Then we both walked to the front entrance. Even though the building was warm, I felt really chilled. My slippers were soaked, and it seemed like I was wearing sponges dipped in ice water on my feet. I needed to get my shoes out of my locker and then go to the office to call my dad. Hopefully he can drop off some dry clothing. So, I'll walk you to the office, if you don't mind. My class is on the way. As Brandon and I made our way down the hall, some people stopped and stared, while others pointed and laughed, but I just ignored them. I knew I looked pretty crazy. With every step I took, my bunny slippers wet, sloshy squeak. I knew I looked pretty crazy. With every step I took, my bunny slippers went sloshy squeak, and left small puddles of water behind me. When I finally got to my locker, there was a large crowd of kids gathered around it. At first I thought they were there for tattooing, but everyone quickly scattered. Then I saw what they were looking at. Bug girl. Someone had vandalized my locker. It felt like I had been punched in my stomach so hard I could hardly breathe. I covered my mouth and tried to blink back my tears for what seemed like the 10th time this morning. Someone had written on my locker what appeared to be ravishing red hot cinnamon twist lip gloss, which BTW was Mackenzie's favorite. I'm really sorry, Brandon stammered. Only a real loser would do something as mean and stupid as... But I didn't hear the rest of what he said. I turned around, pushed my way through the crowded hallway, and went straight to the office to call my parents. I couldn't take it anymore. I was leaving Westchester Country Day Middle School and never coming back! Tuesday, October 8th. Today I stayed home from school with a cold and just lounged in bed all day and drank lemon tea. After my dad picked me up from school yesterday, I started thinking that maybe I had overreacted. Watching my painting being smashed into a zillion pieces had been pretty traumatic, but it was mainly Mackenzie who was making my life miserable. Maybe WCD wasn't such a horrible place. Maybe if I tried talking to Chloe and Zoe, we could go back to being friends again. Maybe Brandon hadn't written me off as a total loser. So yesterday I called the library desk during 5th hour to talk to Chloe and Zoe. Plus I was a teensy bit curious about how Mackenzie's art project had turned out. Okay, I admit I was dying to know. Library front desk, Zoe speaking. Tuesday, October 8th. Hi Zoe, it's me, Nikki. I was just calling to see how you guys are doing. You'll never believe what happened to me this morning. Then I heard Chloe's muffled voice in the background. OMG, it's her. Just say you can't talk right now because we're really busy. We don't have to waste. What's up, Nikki? Brandon told us everything. What's up, Nikki? Brandon told us everything that happened. Actually, He's here right now. Too bad about your art project. Zoe stammered nervously. Yeah, I know. So what do the three of you do? Listen, Nikki, I really have to hang up now. We're really busy with a project. Chloe and Brandon said hi. Wait. Chloe and Brandon say hi. Wait, Zoe, I just wanted to... Sorry, gotta go. See you tomorrow. Bye. Click. After that conversation, there was no doubt in my mind that Chloe, Zoe, and Brandon practically hated me. So there wasn't really anything left to do but make plans to transfer to a new school and have a really good cry. Which is what I've been doing on and off the past 24 hours. The only good thing that's come out of all of this is that my parents have been so worried about my emotional state, they finally agreed to let me transfer to the nearby public school. I thank my dad for arranging the scholarship and all, but I told him it just hadn't worked out. Surprisingly, Mom and Dad also took the news about their anniversary painting being destroyed really well. I even promised I wouldn't paint them a new one, although Brianna insisted that she wanted to do it instead. Don't worry, Mom and Dad, I'm almost done making you a brand new anniversary present, and it's way better than Nikki's dumb old painting. But I had a really bad feeling about Brianna's art project. When I asked her if she had used finger paints or crayons, she said, nope, a black permanent marker, and I drew it over the couch in the exact same spot where your painting was hanging. Brianna said her drawing was called The Maxwell Family Visits Princess Sugarplum on Baby Unicorn Island. Brianna. When Mama saw Brianna's wall mural, she just about fainted, and then Brianna tried to get out of it by blaming Miss Penelope. It was kind of nice to laugh again after feeling so hopelessly depressed. Wednesday, October 9th. My parents and I drove out to WCD 45 minutes early so we could get everything taken care of before the students started arriving. As Mom and Dad sat in the office chatting with the secretary, completing the school transfer paperwork, I couldn't help noticing the colorful displays off the main entryway for the art competition. No matter how much I tried to convince myself I didn't care, I just had to know if Mackenzie had won. It was like I was obsessed or something. If I hurried, I could stop at the art competition for a few minutes and still have time to clean out my locker, get back to the office, and be out of the building before anyone spotted me. Well, I better get going, I muttered to my parents. I grabbed the empty cardboard box I had brought to carry the junk from my locker and headed down the hall. The art exhibit was set up in the large student lounge near the cafeteria and was divided by grades. I hurried past the 6th and 7th grade displays to the 8th grade section. There were about 24 entries, and I immediately noticed Mackenzie's. Like everything she did, it was big, bold, and over the top. She had painted 7 life-size mannequins dressed in her Fab Forever fashions on a 6'12" panel. On 6'12" panels. I had to admit she was actually a pretty good fashion illustrator. But the strange thing was that I didn't see her first place of work. Although knowing Mackenzie, she probably had already taken it home to her parents. Although, knowing Mackenzie, she probably had already taken it home so her parents could have her bronze to match her baby shoes. Then again, maybe not! I was surprised to see the blue ribbon was hanging on the very last display. I couldn't help pitying the poor artist who would have to put up with the drama over Mackenzie's very public and humiliating defeat. The winning display was a series of 16 8x10 close-up black and white photographs of inked artwork. When I read the title and the artist's name, I totally freaked out. The Student Body by Nikki Maxwell. It was my tattoo artwork. 1. Reading. Gamer for Life. 1. I immediately recognized my drawings on Zoe's shoulder, Chloe's arm, Tyler's neck, Sophia's ankle, Matt's wrist, and on and on. So this must have been the project Chloe, Zoe, and Brandon were working on when they said they were too busy to talk to me on the telephone Monday afternoon. Slowly but surely, the reality of the situation started to sink in. I was like, OMG, I won first place in Avant-Garde Day Art. First place and $750. Thanks to Chloe, Zoe, and Brandon. They must have cooked up this elaborate scheme after my painting got destroyed. And that awesome display with my name on it had probably taken hours to complete. I was so wrong about them. The Student Body by Nikki Maxwell. It was my tattoo artwork. 1. Gamer for Life. Magical is reading. They were the best friends ever, and more than a dozen other kids had volunteered to be photographed. All of this totally blew my mind. Maybe WCD was not such a horrible place after all. I actually had real friends here, and of course it didn't hurt that I was now rich beyond my wildest dreams. I hurried back to the office in a daze and burst inside. Mom, Dad, I've changed my mind. I want to stay. They both looked surprised. Honey, are you okay? My mom asked, concerned. Actually, Mom, I'm great. I've changed my mind. I want to stay. Please? Well, it's up to you. Are you sure? My dad said, putting down his pen. I'm really sure. The secretary gathered the papers from my dad, ripped them in half, and tossed them into the waste basket. "This is great news," she beamed, "and congratulations on your first place in the art show. You're coming to the reception for the winners this Saturday night. You're coming to the reception for the winners this Saturday night. They'll be giving out the cash awards, and the catered dinner is fabulous." My parents looked totally confused. "I thought you said you didn't enter the art," my mom began, but I quickly interrupted her. "Listen, I'll explain all this later. Like, don't you both have someone to be?" I smiled and waved goodbye to them, hoping they would take the hint and get lost. Mom kissed my forehead. "Okay, hon, we're glad you decided to hang in there." "Yeah, and you can thank Maxwell's extermination for hooking you up," my dad said and winked. "I knew it would work out for you here if you just gave it a chance." "Well, I gotta go. Oh, here, Dad, I tossed in the cardboard box. Can you get rid of this for me?" I turned and rushed out of the office. Students were starting to fill up the halls, and a few actually congratulated me. As I made my way back to my locker, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I was ready and willing to deal with it. The graffiti had been cleaned up, thank goodness, but there was something new in my locker. "Nikki, please meet us in the janitor's closet, ASAP. It's very, very important. Chloe and Zoe." I knocked on the door of the janitor's closet and then peeked inside. Chloe and Zoe were sitting on the floor in a corner and looking pretty sad. I felt kind of sorry for them. "Nikki, we owe you an apology for the way we acted," Chloe said. "We got really carried away with all the tattoo and book stuff, and that wasn't fair to you." "Yeah, and we learned who our real friends are, too. The CCPs wanted to hang out with us as long as you were doing the tattoos. What a bunch of phonies," Zoe complained. "Actually, I kind of figured that out, too. That angry mob of cheerleaders was too scary," I said, shuddering at the memory. Listen, please don't be mad, Nikki," Chloe said, starting to tear up, "but we have a confession to make. We kind of did something behind your back." Zoe cleared her throat. "Well, after we heard about the accident with your painting, we rounded up the kids with your best tattoo artwork, and Brandon took pictures of them during lunch. Then he printed out the photographs on the computer and the newspaper office. Mrs. Peach let the three of us work on your entry the entire afternoon in the library. We called it the student body. And you'll never guess what happened," Chloe sniffed, blinking back tears. "I won." "You won," they said together. "Wait, you knew?" Zoe asked, surprised. "Yeah, I just found out a few minutes ago. We know you shouldn't be. We know we shouldn't have done it without asking you first, but there wasn't time. You're not mad at us, are you?" Chloe asked and gave me jazz hands to try to lighten the mood. "Actually, I am. I'm very angry," I hissed. Chloe and Zoe both hung their heads and stared at the floor. "We're sorry, Nikki. We were just trying to help," Zoe muttered. You're supposed to be my friends. How could you do this to me? I'm so ticked. I would have given anything to have seen the look on Mackenzie's face when she lost. I was trying so hard not to laugh that I was starting to snort. At first, both girls blinked and looked bewildered. And then slowly, smiles spread across their faces until they were grinning from ear to ear. "OMG, Nikki, you should have seen her," Chloe giggled when they announced he was the winner. She went into shock. It was hilarious. Mackenzie threw a hissy fit right there in front of the judges. Zoe snickered. Pretty soon we were laughing and joking in the janitor's closet, just like old times. "Uh-oh, I think I just heard the first bell," I groaned. Let's get out of here before we start smelling like a mildewy mop." Chloe and Zoe opened the door and then stood there waiting for me to leave first. "Town before brains," but Zoe winked and then gave me the stink eye. "Town before beauty," Chloe grinned and then gave me jazz hands. "Hey, girlfriends, I see the talent, but other than me, there's definitely no brains or beauty. Here," I teased. That's when Chloe and Zoe both socked me on my arm. "Ow," I giggled. "That hurt." Thursday, October 10th. There must have been a big sale at the mall yesterday or something, because 4 girls were wearing the exact same outfit. I hadn't really noticed it until I overheard Mackenzie and ridiculing them in the hall. "OMG, look at that. They're all wearing the same butt-ugly ensemble. Wait, don't tell me. They were giving them away for free with the purchase of a McDonald's Happy Meal." It was only 7:45 a.m., and I was already visualizing duct tape over her mouth. When Mackenzie finally noticed me, she tried to act all innocent. Just in case you're wondering, I didn't write "bug girl" in your locker. Lots of people were ravaging Red Hot Cinnamon Twist, you know. I just rolled my eyes at her. That girl was such a liar. I didn't believe her for 1 second. Mackenzie flipped her hair and gazed at her perfect image in a mirror. Me totally ignoring Mackenzie. Party. Besides, even if I did it, you don't have any proof. Then she applied her morning layer of lip gloss. Since I was stuck having a locker next to Mackenzie for the rest of the year, I decided to utilize the mind over matter coping strategy that Zoe had developed. In my mind, I was so over being impressed with Mackenzie because she didn't matter. Although I have to admit that the chandelier earrings she was wearing were to die for. Why do that huge dangly earrings look really glamtastic on the CCP girls? But when normal girls like me wear them, we end up needing reconstructive cosmetic surgery. Popular girl. I'm so cute. Unpopular girl. I'm in pain. Anyway, Chloe, Zoe, and I sat together at lunch at table 9, and a lot of people stopped by to ask about tattoos. Since our ink exchange program was such a big hit, and we had already collected almost 200 books for charity, we decided to continue it for just 3 days each month, starting in November. It was going to be great not having to hide inside my locker between classes due to my fear of angry mobs, my shyness. And now I'm actually starting to look forward to attending National Library Week at the NYC Public Library. We have a really good chance of being selected. I mean, just think about it. Chloe, Zoe, and me in Manhattan for 5 days without our parents. How exciting would that be? We have friends, fun, fashion, and flirting, like it says in That's So Hot magazine. I'm planning to take full advantage of the meet and greet with all those famous authors that the library holds during National Library Week. I had no idea an autographed novel was so valuable. I could collect half a dozen and then sell them on eBay for big bucks. Then, ka-ching, I could buy that cell phone I've been wanting. Am I not brilliant? BTW, I decided to save the $750 prize money for art camp next summer. If I continue to work really hard on my art, I could possibly land a 4-year scholarship to a major university. Sweet. Brandon stopped by our table to ask if he could interview me about winning the avant-garde art competition since it was breaking news. I thanked him for taking the photographs of my tattoo designs and told him what a great job he had done on them. But he said it was no biggie and he planned to use the photos for the article he was writing. Then Mackenzie came over, acted all friendly, and actually congratulated me. I was so shocked I almost puked my lunch on her designer shoes. But I think she really just wanted to flirt with Brandon because she kept batting her eyes at him all fluttery, like she had accidentally stuck a false eyelash to her eyeball or something. Yes, Mackenzie is rich, popular, and pretty, but I can't help but wonder if Brandon could actually like a girl who has the IQ of Lint. In spite of the fact that we had agreed not to do any tattoos until next month, Chloe and Zoe insist that I do just one more for myself. Champion. My tattoo was awesome. Okay, I admit I was wrong about Grandma being senile, but I was correct about that crazy puppet, Miss Penelope. Myself. Champion. My tattoo was awesome. After lunch was over, Brandon interviewed me for the school newspaper as we walked to my locker. But I wanted to tell him how much I appreciated him being my friend. He'd been there with an umbrella during an awful rainstorm, and he had an endless supply of napkins, tissues, and silly burp jokes. Brandon had seen me covered in various nasty substances like spaghetti, cherry jubilee, and snot, and still wanted to hang out with me. I had to admit, Brandon was almost as awesome as Chloe and Zoe. And that's when I came up with a brilliant idea for how to thank him for everything, including the work he'd done on my art project. I gave him a very cool tattoo of that cute but creepy camera bug I had dreamed about. For some reason, guys seem to like really weird stuff like that. Me, giving Brandon a camera bug tattoo while Chloe and Zoe spy on us. Thanks, Nikki. This tattoo rocks, Brandon gushed. How did you know I like photography? It was just a lucky guess, I answered. Then he brushed his bangs out of his eyes with his fingers and smiled at me kind of shy-like. So I was wondering if you'd like to be lab partners in bio for structure of mitochondria. I cannot believe Brandon asked me that. I just giggled and squealed. Squee! I'm sure he thought I was crazy, but he just smiled, grabbed his camera, and started snapping photos of me for the newspaper. Hey, I can only be myself, right? I'm such a dork. Acknowledgements. I would like to thank everyone who helped to make my dream Acknowledgements. I would like to thank everyone who helped to make my dream become a reality. Lisa Abrams, my fantastic editor, for bringing great passion to this project and loving it as much as I did, and designer Lisa Vega for her keen eye and never-ending patience. A special thanks to Karen Poprocky, my creative art director. With your exceptional design skills, collaboration, and artistic vision, we've created a fun new cover and classic new artwork that Dork superfans will be sure to enjoy. Thanks for helping me update Nikki's world for a new generation of adorable fans. To my League of Superheroes at Aladdin/Simon and Schuster, Mara Anastas, Mary Morana, John Anderson, Julie Dobler, Jennifer Romanello, Faye Bai, Carolyn Swerloff, Tara Greco, Lucia Retino, Matt Pantoliano, Michelle Leo, Candace McManus, Anthony Parisi, Sarah McCabe, Emma Sector, Brenna Franzetta, Christmas Salazzo, Jeannie Nig, Catherine Devendorf, Bridget Madsen, Rebecca Vitkus, Alan Grafson, Matt Jackson, Angela Zerlo, Jen Rothkin, Christiana Pecorolo, Pat Corey, Gary Yurda, and the entire sales force. Thanks for your hard work and commitment. A special thanks to Tori Doherty Monroe at Writer's House, my foreign rights agents, Maja Nikolic, Cecilia De La Campa, Angahard Cowell, and James Monroe, and Zoe, Mary, and Joy. You are an elite group of crusaders with supernatural abilities. Nikki Russell, my very talented assistant artist, whose hard work helped to bring this Nikki Russell, my very talented assistant artist, whose hard work helped to bring this in under deadline. Doris Edwards, my mom, for being there through thick and thin and always reassuring me that my writing was funny, even when it probably wasn't. My daughters, Erin and Nikki Russell, for their love and encouragement. Ariana Robinson, Mick Ayala Robinson, and Cindy James, my tween-age nieces, for being the sweetest, most fab, and totally brutal critique partners an author could wish for. Photograph C by Suna Lee. Rachel Renee Russell is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the blockbuster book series Dork, Diaries and the exciting new series The Misadventures of Max Crumbly. There are more than 45 million copies of her books in print worldwide, and they have been translated into 36 languages. She enjoys working with her daughter, Nikki, who helps illustrate her books. Rachel's message is always, let your inner dork shine through. There's a new dork in town. Turn the page for a sneak peek at Max Crumbly's journal, The Misadventures of Max Crumbly, Locker Hero. Rachel Renee Russell, by the author of Dork Diaries. SS. Science. SS. The Incredible Hawk. 1. My secret life as a superhero. 0. If I had superpowers, life in middle school wouldn't be quite as... If I had superpowers, life in... 1. My secret life as a superhero. 0. If I had superpowers, life in middle school wouldn't be quite so cruddy. I never missed the stupid bus. I never missed the stupid bus again because I just fly to school. Me. Awesome, right? That would pretty much make me the coolest kid at my school. But I'll let you in on the secrets. Getting bombed by an angry bird is not cool. It's just nasty. Whoa, splat, splat. TV, comic books, and movies make all the superhero stuff look so easy, but it isn't. So don't believe the hype. Me. Whoa, splat, splat. You can't get superpowers by hanging out in a laboratory, mixing up colorful glowing liquids that you simply drink. Mwah, ha, 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 ha! Me, mixing up a yummy superpower smoothie. How do I know it doesn't work? Kaboom! Oops. Let me put it this way. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Kaboom! Oops. Even if I did have superpowers, the very first person I need to rescue is myself. Why? Because a guy at school pulled a lousy prank on me. And unfortunately, I might be dead by the time you read this. Yes, I said dead. Okay, I'll admit that he didn't mean to kill me, but still. So if you're the type who gets freaked out over this kind of stuff or comic book cliffhangers, you probably shouldn't read my journal. Kaboom! Oops. Warning label. Beware. Excuse me, but are you still reading? Okay, fine. Go right ahead. Just don't say I didn't warn you. Warning label. Beware. 2. If there's a dead body inside my locker, it's probably me. It all started as a normal, boring, crummy day in my normally boring, crummy life. My morning was a disaster because I overslept. Then it went straight downhill from there. I completely lost track of time at breakfast while reading a really old comic book that my father found in the attic a few days ago. He said his dad had given it to him as a birthday gift when he was a kid. He wanted me to be super careful with it and not take it out of the house because it was a collectible and probably worth a few $100s. My dad was pretty serious about it because he had already scheduled an appointment to get it appraised at the local comic book store. However, since I was running late for school, I decided to take the comic book with me and finish reading it during lunch. What could happen to it at school? Anyway, as I rushed to the bus stop, the zipper broke on my backpack and all my stuff fell out, including Dad's comic book. I was like, oh crud, my dad was going to strangle me if I damaged his comic book. I grabbed the comic book and was desperately trying to pick up everything else when the bus pulled up, screeched to a halt, waited all of the 3 seconds, and then zoomed off again, without me. I ran after that thing like it was Hey, I ran after that thing like it was $100 bill blowing in the wind. Stop! 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 I yelled, but it didn't, which meant I missed the bus, was forced to walk to school, and arrived 20 minutes late. Next, I got chewed out by the office secretary. She gave me a tardy slip and then threatened an after-school detention because I had interrupted her while she was eating a jelly donut. And just when I thought things couldn't possibly get any worse, they did. When I stopped by my locker to get my books, suddenly everything went dark. That's when I realized I was trapped in my worst nightmare. I knew attending a new middle school was going to be tough, but this is insane. My life stinks. I know you're probably thinking, dude, just chill. Everybody has a bad day at school. Stop lying and get over it. For real, are you serious? Like, how am I supposed to get over this? Thug, me, tap, tap. Grrr, gulp, loser. Will Max find a way to use his unique superpowers to defeat the bully and save the day? Max Conway's about to face the scariest place he's ever been, Southridge Middle School. There's a lot that's great about his new school, but there's also one big problem, Doug, the school bully, who's hiding stuffing Max in his locker. If only Max could be like the hero in his favorite comics. Unfortunately, Max's uncanny, almost superhuman ability to smell pizza from a block away won't exactly save any lives or foil bad guys. But that doesn't mean Max won't do his best to be the hero his school needs. Subscribe, like, and turn on post notifications. I was reading Dork, Diaries, Book 1, Part 3 of 3. I hope you enjoyed. Peace!